How's it going, everyone? It is me, the Lone Vault Wanderer, and welcome back to another Fallout 76 video. So before I get started, not many of you know that we actually have a Discord for this YouTube channel. If you want to join it, the link is in the description below. We talk about a ton of different things. We even have a dedicated channel for Fallout 76. So again, if you want to chat all things gaming and Fallout, the link is in the description below. I would love to see you there and talk with you about games. So one of the things that's really intriguing me about Fallout 76 is the fact that we're going to get mutations in the game. If you remember the BGS documentary that was undertaken by NoClip, it was mentioned by Bethesda that there will be a mutation system in the game, which is somewhat going to be a replacement for what we had in Fallout 4. If you remember, in that game, you had your health bar, and then when you got radiated, it would actually take away from your maximum health. However, as mentioned in that documentary, which is also linked in the description below if you're interested, Bethesda said the following: in Fallout 76, the more rads you have, the more chances you have to get mutated. And they have all sorts of effects. They're almost like traits from Fallout 1 and 2 with pluses and minuses. You can cure these if you don't like them, or you can actually permanently get them in late game. They're mostly gameplay side, but some of them are visual too. And for those of you that haven't played Fallout 1, the way traits worked in that game is that you could pick a number of different traits that would both give you a benefit and a penalty. For instance, the Bruiser trait in Fallout 1 gave you +2 strength, but it also took away 2 action points. Then you had Good Natured, which gave you +15% to first aid, doctor, speech, and barter, but -10% to small guns, big guns, energy weapons, throwing, melee, and unarmed. So seeing this kind of system incorporated into Fallout 76, but have it be tied to how much you're getting radiated in the game or how much you're mutated in the game is going to be pretty cool. And if we're going to be able to keep some of these mutations permanently, don't know how that's going to actually be implemented later in the game, but however that's actually incorporated, it's going to be cool to see what traits there are, because presumably some are going to be really powerful in the benefits that they can give you, but they're going to be penalized in a way that would give other players a much better advantage over you. Like the way I envision it, there could be traits that are kind of counter to each other. So if you decide to get a trait that's good over one person, it's kind of like a rock, paper, scissors scenario where another person who picked a different trait is actually going to be better than you now. If any of you have played Pokemon, that's exactly how the game works, right? You could have a Pokemon that's a fire type that's really good against grass types, but then you're vulnerable to water types. So it could be similar in that regard, and I think that's a cool thing. However, in that interview, they mentioned the fact that these mutations are mostly on the gameplay side rather than visual. Now, yes, there are going to be some visual effects or impacts to some of these mutations, but this video is about me wanting something a little bit more. I've always advocated in Fallout games for there to be more, I guess, negative consequences, or at least some sort of consequences for being radiated and being mutated in the game. I don't know if any of you remember with Fallout 4, but as part of the build up to that game, there was some promo marketing material that showed the player or a human getting ghoulified. Well, at least what I thought was looking to be ghoulified. But in fact, it was just a kind of cool representation to show how radiation would affect you in the game. As we know in Fallout 4, you can't actually turn into a ghoul when you get irradiated too much. But I still wanted that. I saw that material and I was like, you know what? That would be really cool. But it doesn't just have to be turning into a ghoul. It could be a bunch of other things that when it comes to Fallout 76, I would really actually like to see implemented. Yes, the fact that there are going to be mutations that affect gameplay, of course that's expected, right? If there are mutations, we'd assume that there's some sort of impact upon the game, and having these traits is a great way to do that. But I personally want to see them implemented in a much more visual fashion, which is why I've titled this video Real Mutations. I want to see these mutations actually come to life in a cool way, rather than just be represented in the form of traits. So for instance, if we get mutated too much, how cool would it be to have effects like having a third arm grow out of your body, or just getting severely enlarged in like your arm or something like that? Just something to show that mutation has a more prominent effect rather than just affecting you in some sort of internal fashion, because I would love to walk along other players and see what kind of mutations they have. If I see them having a third arm and that gives them a certain benefit, like you become stronger if you have a third arm but you become less agile, maybe I want to try that mutation or that trait or whatever it's called. And the way that I know that mutation exists is by seeing other players with it, with that third arm. Equally, if someone had like an enlarged leg or head or something like that, maybe if they had an enlarged head, they would be smarter and that would increase your intelligence. Wouldn't that be cooler than just having the fact that your intelligence would increase? And again, it can be a ton of stuff. Like maybe a mutation is that you get so mutated that you become more friendly with the Scorched. Wouldn't that be bloody awesome? You become more friendly with the Scorched, yet people that are around you will be more likely to attack you, or something like that, right? Something that affects you visually and still impacts you gameplay wise, because I think you could have both. And I'm interested to see what kind of visual mutations that Bethesda is going to be doing in Fallout 76. But the fact, as implied in that no-clip documentary, it's a more minor thing. I would like to see it a little bit different. Like, let's take another example, right? Let's say you get mutated and you have gills and you're able to breathe on the water. Why not? Like, that would be sweet. Like, you see people walking around with gills and you think, okay, I want that. I want to go, you know, treasure diving or whatever it is. In Fallout 4, you had perks like that, and then you had the power armor that could offer you that. Why not be a little bit different? Let's mix it up. Let's make it a little bit more interesting, especially because, you know, Fallout 76, while it's not an MMO, we're not going to have races. We're not going to have different kinds of characters. Everyone's just a human out of Vault 76. So let's be a bit more diversified. Let's be a bit more different in the kind of humans that are there, rather than everyone just having kind of different skin color and different haircuts and whatnot, but actually have people that look physically different, right? As if they were kind of like different races, but we're not going down with that route. I would love to say, oh, I would love to play as a super mutant, but we know that's not going to happen, right? But what if these mutations and getting irradiated too much actually affects you in a more important way? And then if you don't like that mutation, you know, pop a rat away, and then you're fine and good to go for the rest of the game. But if you actually like looking like a ghoul or having a third arm or something, right? Maybe that can actually be a permanent thing. Of course, it would be tied to your character, and it would be a fundamentally important decision for you to make. But I think it would be a cool idea. So let me know what you think about this, Wastelanders, in the comments below. Do you agree with my idea, or do you prefer Bethesda's thinking of it, where it just affects more so the gameplay wise, and there's only a few of those traits or those mutations that actually affect you visually? Let me know. And until next time, this has been the Lone Vault Wanderer. Please take care of yourself, and as always, would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.